We're really excited to have both Chad and Nate with Apptail be the first presenters of Missoula 1 Million Cups. And so we're going to turn it over to them to tell their story, and thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. We appreciate it. So I'm Chad, and this is Nate. We just want to say how excited we are to have 1 Million Cups here in Missoula. The opportunity to meet all of you, the entrepreneurs, the makers, the shakers, the creators, is really, really exciting. And to be able to connect with you in this community, but also nationally, and now it sounds like internationally, I think is an awesome opportunity. So thank you guys for being here. One of my earliest childhood memories was loading up into the station wagon with my father and with my siblings and going to the natural grocery store. And I remember being there and smelling the tea tree oils and the incenses and the strawberries and all the things that natural grocers provide. But another thing that I remember is meeting all of the members of our community. So you meet all the personalities. You meet the young bachelor who has spaghetti and ketchup in his bag. You meet the old lady who's got the gossip about what's going on with so-and-so. You meet the mother with the cart full of groceries behind her and also the stroller with the babies in front of her. And what I began to realize even at a young age and recognize now is that the grocery store is not just a place where you buy groceries. It's a place where you connect with your community. And Nate and I, about 2 years ago, began to recognize that the big box stores with their big IT departments and big budgets were winning the land grab of mobile space. And we were worried that the independent grocers were falling behind. And so we devised a creative plan to solve that problem for them. What the plan was that we would build one mobile app, and we would provide it to all of the independent grocers in the country. So everybody who invested in that would be investing together in one piece of technology so that they could receive a technology that's better than their competition at a fraction of the cost. And that's what we do. And so what Nate will talk about now, basically Apptail was born, now where are we going?
So when he says one mobile app, just to clarify, it's branded for the store, and so what we offer them is the opportunity to put their brand, all their deals, and just their deals on a mobile app. One thing that we discovered was a lot of the independents can't compete on pricing, and so what they don't want to do is go up against the Walmarts and the Targets and those other companies that can beat them on pricing. And so what we want to do is offer that avenue to them with just their brand and just their pricing. What we discovered was we took a pretty good swing at it our first round and found we had most of the features that they wanted, but then listening to our customer, we got feedback and discovered, hey, there's some opportunities for some other areas we could grow in. So we started out just doing savings and deals on that, and now we've expanded into events, as well as push alerts and several other options that allow a mobile app to have a lot of impact. What's really exciting for us, though, is we're not just going to start and end with mobile. We've expanded our product lineup at the request of our customers into a web service that allows us to put one line of code on any existing website and present all those deals on that website. Anybody familiar with SEO or search engine optimization understands the importance of having fresh content on a website continually updated. And so now we're bringing a lot more punching power to their digital marketing platform than they've ever had an opportunity to have before. Some of the other things that we do is we're actually a service and not just a software program that we hand off to whoever the poor guy is that has to manage it. We do all the deal uploads. We also do image sourcing. So basically it's a flip a switch and all of a sudden you have all this marketing power in your hands. We have some future plans that we're going to expand. As we keep running into more needs from our customers, we'll keep adding it to the list and then vetting through that with other customers to find out what other opportunities are out there. And so as Apptail expands, we don't want to be pigeonholed into just being an app company, despite the name, right? But the idea is that we can offer more and more services to these companies because of all the experience Chad and I have had going through these different stores and seeing best practices. We're going to do our best to help these independents by sharing that vision with each one of the independents we come in contact with. Mm-hmm. So, to kind of summarize, I think we have a minute and 50 left. Where we're really headed now is mobile is a great game. We all know it's necessary, but in the long run, a lot of these customers that we talk to really just want a comprehensive package that they can turn on and do, whatever they need to do. there's a lot of issues with local distributors and insourcing and things like that that we're going to also address as we progress through our product line. And what makes us really unique is that we apply Agile and Scrum management techniques and development techniques that allow us to be very quick to change if needed. Not that we're always changing vision, but we're able to pivot quickly when new needs come up and iterate through rapid prototype tests and make sure that we're building a product that our people actually use and need as opposed to what we want.
Or what we think.
What we think they want, right.
So validating our ideas and engaging that validated learning has been a big part of our organization.
Yeah, and it's an ethos that goes through our entire company as we grow. We brought on a local developer. We're probably going to be bringing on some other interns as well. We have a third-party development team, one in Atlanta and one in India now, and it's quite an experience. If any of you guys are dealing with outsourcing development and things like that, please feel free to talk to us. We have been beat up pretty bad. I was up till 1 last night dealing with issues. So I guess if anything I could say to entrepreneurs, anybody in this room that's looking to start a business or is in the middle of starting a business, is you're going to get beat up, you're going to get discouraged, but in the end, you really have to take critical self-evaluation and say, okay, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this for my customers? Am I doing the right thing? And it's okay to question yourself. In fact, most of your best ideas will probably come out of that process of self-vetting.
And coming to organizations like this where you're meeting with other entrepreneurs in the area where you can bounce your ideas off of them and engage in continuous learning will make you so much better. And so we thank you for that opportunity.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. So the follow-up question will always be, what is it that 1 Million Cups can do to help Apptail?
I think the thing that we really need right now, the critical thing, is growing that channel, growing the networks and meeting more retailers. Not just in the grocery industry, because we have an eye for other verticals as well. But if you know somebody or if you've been part of that or you have some ideas in that area, approach us, talk to us, make those introductions, because that's always helpful for us. Keeps me from having to do cold calling, which nobody wants to do.
And another thing that groups like this bring together is when you first come up with a brilliant idea, it sticks in your head. You don't want to tell anybody because you're pretty sure everybody else is going to think it's brilliant and they're probably going to steal it from you.
Right.
Well, sometimes, right? If it's really that great of an idea, somebody else has probably already thought of it at one time. It's more about the process of actually doing it and exploring the local community and whatever resources you have there. And what's great about groups like this is that this is an open forum. We're open to talk about most of our business processes and our practices with you guys, and we hope that you'll be the same. And that only helps the community as a whole grow into a better, more cohesive unit. And then we can rely on each other when we have skills that maybe our company can provide to you or vice versa that we wouldn't have. If we don't have this interaction, we'll never know what resources are out there. Mm-hmm. So making sure that we, you don't have to be here every week. I'm sure you'd love that, but
yes,
but as long as you show up and make sure that you're aware of what's going on in the community, and then
that helps.
Ask questions.
Us, yeah.
We're both talkers, as you guys can probably tell by now, and
we have things to say.
So I think really my point is that it's up to us to be interacting with each other and actually pursuing each other when it comes to especially technology and things that change really quickly. Mm-hmm. So cool. That's.
Can you talk a little bit about where you've had successful traction, whether it's been through cold calling or just an initial relationship that you had, a referral, and what's working better for you and what isn't?
On the sales side, or just?
Well, just like for instance, you opened up by saying it would be our goal was to get this out to all these independent grocers, for instance. Yep. But you can't just build it and wake up the next morning and be like, they all have it, right? So what has been the most successful adoption tool to meet the decision makers at these grocers and get them to adopt your application?
Right. So the independent grocer market is really unique in the sense that it's kind of old school in a lot of ways. And a lot of the leadership in that industry, one of the big organizations that serve in the industry says that in the next 5 years, 60% of their employees are going to retire. And so a lot of the business practices there are very face-to-face. It's very much about relationships. And so the cold calling has been helpful to get us those initial early adopters. But now what we're seeing is it's more about the referral, a lot more about the referral. And it's also about continuing to improve our value proposition through feedback. So we've had a few customers that have really hammered on us hard, right? On we want this product, we want that, but they were intelligent and thoughtful about what they were doing, and they made our product a lot better. And that's really where we've had more success. Growth in the last couple of months, honestly, was because of those initial adopters.
You can knock on the door, by cold calling 3 or 4 times, and pretty soon they're going to end up not taking your phone call, or they never take your phone call. Some of the best practices are trying to figure out how to schmooze your way through that gateway person who everybody runs into all the time. I wish there was a better way of saying it.
Kind of traditional sales.
Yeah, they're the enemy. But once you get a foothold, and quite frankly, we didn't have success until Chad went in and just started shaking them down.
And was that locally? Like, hey, let's start with like the food farms and move on to the food stores and then the natural grocers, and that's a local thing that you're expanding regionally then? Or was it?
What we did is basically just walked into every grocery store that was in driving distance and dropped my card off and said, hey, I'm Chad Satterlee. I got something that's going to save you a bunch of time and money. We should sit down and talk for 15 minutes. And did kind of the old school sales, feet on the ground. And that's what, now we're having success through referrals nationally, scaling out of Montana. We're in Idaho. We're about to be in Colorado, South Dakota. We're gonna have a couple of sales there. And that's come through, working with Joe, check out his app, boom. Yeah. But before, the initial cold calling for people wasn't very successful on the phone.
It's the Maven process, if anybody familiar with social media. The idea is to find an influencer,
VIP.
Give them a good experience, and then they'll be open to talk to you. Or give you testimonies and validate you.
Right.
And so it's really getting that first foot in. I know some local companies, I'm not going to throw them under a bus, a lot of them will give away their software free so that they can get a foothold in certain areas. They can afford to do that. We probably are not going to be that company because we're a profit-driven company. But once you do get that foothold, give that customer your
Give them a great experience. Yeah.
And then that helps grow.
We acquired a natural grocer in Idaho that was very well known in the whole Northwest area because he's young, he's very ambitious, he's doing a bunch of cool stuff like filling growlers in the store and things like that. And so once I had him and we gave him a great experience, and he gave us those referrals. That's where things really started to happen, because now I'm calling and said, Joe told me to call you, and they're like, oh, Joe knows what's up. It's working for Joe. You have analytics for Joe. Let's talk about business. And they wouldn't even let me through the door.
You have
before
positive peer pressure and a little critical mass.
They're just vetting. Yeah. They get 100 phone calls a day. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of Chads out there.
There's a lot of, one of a kind over here, one of a kind.
So are you incentivizing your referrals at all? Like outside of just an amazing experience?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So unless anyone else has questions about the growth piece, I was curious around, you talked about wanting to expand in different verticals and different markets. What are those particularly?
Well, we're not going to play all of our cards.
No.
But some of the obvious ones, I think everybody.
Hardware.
Yeah, hardware. Larger retail shops that have a high velocity of SKUs. There's clothing stores are fine, but that's more of an intimate personal experience. You want to see the shirt, you want to try it on. We're also not trying to go at Amazon levels, right? So we purposely kept ourselves below the 100 store chains that we've been calling. Most of them already have an IT department that can handle something that large, so we've kept it under that. Our focus really is to build one platform that we completely reiterate every year or so and keep it up to date, and then get that in the hands of independents of 5 to 20 stores that would never have that.
Or 1 to 20 stores.
1 to 20 stores, yeah. Right.
Anybody who, and even the one-offs really matter for, I think our product's great for them because their tech guy's the guy that knows how to use a smartphone often, not always, but often. And so we can come in as trusted advisors and really help them, guide them through some of the technology stuff. That's great. We love to do that.
And what's unique about our process is that we're not just, again, not a software platform. I can't express this enough. It's that we do a full service. So the worst experience you can do is give them software, like a website. I'm sure everybody's been on one of those. And you go to it and there's no updated content since 2014, right? Yeah. Then that guy's not actively, first you think the business is out of business, right? That always goes through your head. Second thing is they're not updating their content. They must not be really actively pursuing this. So what's really important is that those deals get on the phone and people see them and they're constantly updated. We're in competition with another company that is giving away a free app, but they don't handle any of the content stuff. And they have sales from 2013 on there. Yeah. And it's just, nobody would ever use that. I know I certainly would.
It's to us, it's irresponsible to give someone a piece of technology they don't know how to use.
Right.
And so we're automating some of that fresh content with the website and things like that. But ultimately, it's about, I'm going to show you how to use this too. And we have a launch packet for you that we can send out to you right away. You have everything you need. You put it up in the store, and now you're getting downloads. People are using your technology.
We do
things
point
like
of
that.
presence as well.
Yeah.
My background is design, so.
So if we wanted to,
No, you
can
go
see
ahead.
behind me, I'm
Question.
sorry.
You can,
Sid,
Go ahead.
2 questions. So what are you doing to bridge the gap between retail and consumer or end user? And then the second one is, do you have any implementation on like local manufacturers? So if a husband and wife have a little microgreens company and they want to sell to 7 independent grocers in an isolated market, is there any way to, get that on board?
Yeah, we're working on some of that stuff. As far as getting consumers to download the app and use it and things like that, we have a marketing plan that we've been refining with all of our customers over time. And what we did initially is we used validated learning lean techniques to launch each element of that marketing plan at a different time. So we could see in the analytics where we were getting responses from, right? And understanding what types of marketing were really effective. And so we've been able to refine that over several marketing launches, and so we provide that as a package. And basically, our last customer, we had 500 downloads in 3 days in a small, local store, which is substantial for them. I mean, everybody was very excited at the store. We had a lot of good energy there.
And the way we support them typically is that pop presence. So I have made probably 6 or 7 signs like this, designs that try to fit with all the different designs that we've come across in the different stores, and providing that to their department if they have such a thing, or just dropping their logo on there, really has a big impact. We've noticed that our biggest downloads, just as a secret, actually come from, I set up a text messaging service that people can just type in fresh, for instance, for Fresh Market, and it will send the app to their phone. It's basically reducing barriers to getting that into the customer's hand.
Right.
And however you do it, no matter what your business is, always think of like, why do we have this extra step? Why do I need a 20-page form or 20 field form when I could do 3, get the customer interested, and then get the rest of the information?
Every click or every step they have to take, you lose somebody, right? And so one text message, you have it on your phone, get a lot of downloads that way.
And I have some regrets being the user experience designer from 2 years ago, totally not knowing what I was doing. Like for instance, just to give you an example, we put it's only 2 fields, but it's your email and a password to log into the app. That's at the beginning of the whole experience. I'm now going to be moving that to just where the grocery list is so that you can open up the app without having to do that and look at the sales. Because quite frankly, I don't care who you are if you're buying stuff. Not from a marketer standpoint, but from the store standpoint.
Right.
So.
And you can have people download it and then be like, oh, I'll do that later, and then they never do. I want them to get that value right away. So we had a question back here.
I think.
Yeah.
Did we answer it?
Yep.
Mine got answered as well.
Oh.
Okay, great.
Sorry. Yeah.
Have you changed, or do you think you will change your pricing now that you have more information about what it costs to acquire a customer and maintain a customer?
We have a range. Let's put it that way. But we know from experience now where some customers are going to be a little more high maintenance, if you will. They don't have a marketing department, but they really want high-end materials and things like that. So we adjusted according to it, the customer that we're interacting with. We also have a model for multiple stores. Our workload doesn't exponentially increase or at a steady scale with new stores, so we can actually do pricing adjusting to the number of stores they have.
And one thing that we did early on, which was smart, is before we actually had the product completely built, I went out and sold it. And having all of those conversations, I began to realize what I could actually sell it for. So I came in hot. I came in at like $3,000 a month for an app, and they're like, $3,000 a month? Like, you kidding me? At first, just because a little store in Missoula, Montana, it's like, come on, my marketing budget's not that big. And so we found that spot pretty quickly after those conversations and judging their reaction. And then after a couple of sales, we knew we had a good idea of what
You're never right the first time.
Yeah.
And,
And the sales guy's always like, we're gonna charge them $100,000 for that. It's the best thing they've ever seen.
I got a question, Chad. You started off by telling us the story about how the grocery store experience is like a community, building community, and so you said it's not just an app. You got content for the website, everything, and so it sounds like you're helping those retailers build and establish and build on the community they already have.
Yep.
But when you're doing and providing the content, is it all templated so each one looks the same? Are you providing individual content, they do their own, is it blend? How does that work?
So primarily content, and I'll field this because that's kind of my area, is really the content is totally on them in the sense that it's their sales, their deals, their pricing, right? The look and feel of the app we've kept consistent because nobody's complained. In fact, I tried to make changes and everybody told me not to. Right. So what we ended up doing was stripping a lot of the features out that I had originally come up with.
A lot of them.
We had a lot of really cool stuff that I want to tell you about, but Chad won't allow me because it's not that interesting. Nobody will buy it.
But Nate likes it.
Yeah, but I like it.
All the engineers thought it was a beautiful
yeah,
thing.
Like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can scan my item and it automatically adds to my grocery list. Said no one ever, but so I guess the content is constantly changing. The format of the content, it's CSS style sheets on the website, so we can make different fonts and whatever you want. The mechanics behind it, we just to any nerds in here, we use JavaScript and a Node.js server, which is we can do really quick prototyping and things like that and change the look and feel really quickly with it. So we haven't done that yet because they've never requested it, and most of them are so, I'm not going to say Luddite, but I will, but they really just don't know. And so we change the font to fit whatever font they're using on their website and everybody's happy.
Right.
But the content itself, the images and those type of things, that comes from them. So it's really, our point is to become just a piece of the whole pie and not stand out as like we did the whole website for them. We'll do it, but that's not really where our core competency is.
And as far as the community side goes, that was something a value prop that we fleshed out over a long period of time. You'd be surprised how we didn't really value that at first, but that's where we ended up with the events feature, right? These are the events we're doing in the store. We have cooking classes, we have wine tasting, we have all of those things. Yeah. And they customize, they can select their own images for that. They go into it and kind of have their own smiling face of the wine gal, things like that. And that's actually been one of the most popular pages is what's on sale for lunch, what are they doing for events, what's my community up to today, right? And it's a powerful thing.
Nice. Quick question. So, how do you balance the fact that going from growing your business from the ground up rather than working with maybe a UNFI or a distributor to distribute to a lot of these locally owned grocery stores, kind of that you could reach a lot more a lot quicker that way, but if your business went from ground up,
it's good that you mentioned that, right? So that's something we dealt with about 6 months ago. We've come into contact with a lot of distributors. I've had conversations with several of them. Here's the deal, is if somebody's already in the space and they're building things for people, they look at that as an opportunity if it comes off too hot. I know that's kind of, again, going back to, it's great to share all my ideas with everybody, but with distributors, they're an interesting bunch because they're self-serving as they should be because they're a business, but their goal is to primarily sell their goods. So,
over the other distributors.
Over the other distributors.
And that's the trick is so you have one main distributor in the area and they may manage a lot of the technology for the store. And so as you bring in those other distributors or try to, you're getting in a war of items on the shelf that for us right now, our real vision for our company is to help the independent grocer compete, right? And that's where we're at right now. And those are the people we really care about and want to serve. And so, yes, we'll work with them and we're having conversations with them about different things, but at the same time, not losing that core vision of what we're about. And if we're going to grow from the ground up, well, then we get to serve the people who are on the ground too, who are often, let's be honest, in this industry are neglected if they're not Walmart. And so that's what we're about.
So what is interesting about that, though, is that data processing is a big portion of what grocery stores do. They have a bunch of stuff coming in, they need to figure out where to put it on the shelves and get the price right. So it's required that we do work with distributors to get that information as early as possible. And so part of our business when it comes to the consulting side is truly going into what their processes are and trying to get into that workflow. Will it work? I don't know. Yeah. But at this point, they're so far behind that anything we do is an upside. If I show them how to use a spreadsheet, it's a win.
And it does vary from business to business. Not all of them are so far behind.
Yeah.
It's just there's enough of them that are kind of, need some update on their technology that there's a lot of opportunity there. So.
And then one more quick question. How do you balance the trust if I'm a local grocery store owner and you have how do I know that you're not sharing my information with
Oh,
the guy
right.
over
Yeah,
here?
so that's part of
that's
our
a,
agreement.
you know,
It's
that's
a
that's
contract.
Yeah,
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 you'll
it's
see
just
us.
in our agreement. It doesn't. I got to be honest.
But do you have that skepticism?
Not as much. They worry about Big Brother in the sense that we track all their customer data, which we don't. We don't. Unfortunately, we don't come from the Google world where we think that every bit of data is the most valuable bit of data and we need to stick it somewhere. Our goal right now is to keep that trust. And so if we get hacked, they don't get passwords, they don't get anything. They basically get your grocery list at worst, right? And we're trying to keep it at that level, at least for this. Because most of the information we deal with is publicly available. It's pricing and item stuff like that. So our goal is to just keep it simple and not interfere with their point of sale system or the security issues that they may have. So that's where our approach is.
Yeah, so thank you guys.
Awesome, thank
Yep,
you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Well, just as a thank you, we want to provide you guys with these cool
Good.
1
All
million
right. We
cups.
can
One
be
of a
even more
million.
caffeinated. That's great.
Yeah.